Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be talking about my social media metrics and earnings report for the month of April, where, as always, we go through my social media metrics in total, look at some of the platforms and how I've been progressing on them, quickly do an overview of my sponsors in general, and then most importantly, diving into the various platforms where you can earn cryptocurrency and how much I've been earning and kind of giving you an idea of what you could do and give you some insight into where you might want to spend some of your time in order to earn crypto for your content as well. So without further ado, let's jump into it after a quick word from my sponsor.
A big thank you and shout out to my sponsor Cake Wallet, which is an open source, non-custodial Bitcoin and Monero wallet that also has a built-in exchange. It's available on iOS and Android.
Thanks again to my sponsor, so let's jump into it. Everything as usual is kind of progressing along as it always is. I mean, generally 2% across the board for engagements, video views, and comments, and then 1% for followers and impressions. So in total, my engagements are now at 440,000. My video views are 1,042,000, 67,600 comments, and 155,000 followers, and then 22.5 million impressions. So it's really great to see that my followers are still steadily kind of growing, and everything's just moving along as it usually is. To get a little more nuance for the individual platforms, I mean, YouTube isn't really doing anything as always, unfortunately, but that's the reality. I mean, they still pay me every now and then, and I still earn a little bit from YouTube, so you might as well still use it at the very least just for your reach. Mine's is okay. I mean, it's still puttering along, but you can't really earn anything from it, so it is what it is. We'll dive more into the earning side of things in a little bit. PublishOX has been okay. A little bit of a drop off lately for engagements and stuff, but it's still, definitely worth blogging on if you like blogging specifically or you want something of a medium crypto alternative. This is a good one to use. And again, it's always good that PublishOX is crypto agnostic, so you're never really concerned about if their specific cryptocurrency went down, that it's not worth it to use the platform. Instead, they use many other cryptocurrencies that they get sponsored with, and then it just really depends on how much those are worth and how much they're able to give out. Hive continues to be very solid. It's definitely my leading platform for most of my metrics and earnings, so that's really great to see. Twitter has been solid lately, but Twitter is Twitter, so there's always craziness going on there. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens with Elon Musk and if he does actually acquire it. I don't think he will, but at the very least, I think we'll get a lot more answers and see some exposure about Twitter's bot problem and how that's actually impacting the platform. Read.Cash has been good. I feel like I'm getting a little bit less engagement there, but it might just be a result of it growing and more people using the platform and, all that kind of stuff as well. We'll dive into the earnings there in a little bit. LBRY has massively fallen off. I don't know if it's because I don't really put much support into my videos in terms of the technical term support on LBRY, where you actually sort of stake crypto on your videos. I only put maybe around 2,000 LBC nowadays. So because I sold the rest of mine. So that could be part of why I'm not getting nearly as much engagement, but it could also just be that I'm less pro LBRY, and that might have a negative effect on my viewership there. But to be fair, a lot of my old content that I continually just republish points to YouTube and Odysee. And that's more so because, I could point to Rumble or some other platforms, but for the most part, LBRY is one that you can still continually earn on, even if the earnings are very dismal. And it's better to point there than Coast.tv or something. Unfortunately, with Hive, I could point people there, but I wouldn't really be able to track the engagement or views or anything like that after 7 days. So it's not super ideal on the analytics side of things. And that's still why I sort of patronize LBRY, but I definitely don't recommend it. And I'm not very pro LBRY anymore, but I still use every platform because that's what you should do. I don't remember how long ago it was said, but someone said, oh, so like you're complaining about LBRY on YouTube because they watched my YouTube video. But it's like, no, to combat censorship, you should be posting everywhere you possibly can. Mass distribution will always be the most effective way to fight censorship. It'll always just simply be the best way, because it's highly unlikely that all these platforms could get together and collude to all go after one person. It's just so unlikely. And there's many things that prevent a lot of these platforms from doing so anyways. So that's probably still the best recommended method to sort of back up your content or ensure that you can't be censored to oblivion. BitChute has been fine. Torum is still okay. I mean, I'm not really tracking my earnings on Torum. Someone said, oh, like, are you not earning there anymore? Are you not posting because you're not recording your earnings? No, I mean, it's basically earn drops. Not really worth my time. It takes so much to actually get it out. The fees are too high anyways. It's just not super ideal, but it's great as a like status platform just for promoting my other stuff. I mean, same goes for Mines, right? It's not like I'm actually earning anything on Mines, but I can use it with my 11,400 followers. I could still promote my YouTube, my PublishOX, my Hive, all the other platforms, and still, get the word out. And I think that's still very, very important and not something that should be overlooked. Noise.Cash has slowed down a little bit, but it's still, a solid platform, a nice addition to Read.Cash. Coast.tv has been fairly solid. They updated their wallet and it's a lot cleaner and easier to use, which is really nice. But, the platform is still fairly centralized in the fact that you have to do approvals to get your content actually posted. And then I just have Getter as sort of like a placeholder. Not that I'm like very gung-ho on Getter. It's just there isn't a lot of platforms for me to bother listing down here that actually have a substantial enough follower count and engagements, etc., to bother listing. So, that's what that is. Don't forget, you can always listen to my podcasts on Castbox, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and anything attached to Anchor, because it does post to quite a few places. These are just some of the main places. My content will always be there, so you can always go and check it out. I've more recently been posting my entire videos on these platforms as well. So I've been trying to be a little bit more conscious of the fact that there might be people only listening via audio, so not to fully rely on visuals and try to be as descriptive as possible. So thanks for anyone who is listening in podcast form, or, if you just can't afford to use a lot of data and, video isn't really that important to you, this is a great way for you to just save on your bandwidth, especially if you're not on like Wi-Fi, for example, and you want to use as little data as possible. The best way to do that is to just listen to the podcast form of this. Again, I haven't really done any interviews or anything in a while. I've been on a lot of other people's podcasts. Maybe I should list that here because I don't really talk about other people's podcasts that I attend. But I've been a pretty frequent guest on Joel Valenzuela's Digital Cash Network show. And I believe it's called Digital Cash Network. I apologize if that's incorrect, but I've been on Joel Valenzuela's show several times. Kind of a recurring guest. He has a great show. He does a lot of the stuff that I do, and even more so in terms of like living on crypto. He's kind of the go-to person for that. And Censorship Sucks is also a great podcast that I regularly attend and talk crypto and all that good stuff with. So I intend to really vamp up interviews. I keep saying that, but lately there's just been so much going on. I do want to really get back into this, do more videos, do more interviews. I promise that is absolutely my intent. I just have a lot going on and I'm always striving to get more done. And I'm working on a lot of things and I'm very comprehensive with the stuff that I do because there's always critics who want to nitpick everything. So I try to be as comprehensive as I possibly can. And hopefully I might be able to get some stuff at the Futurist conference in August because a lot of these people are going to be there and maybe I'll be able to get some sound bites, take some pictures, all that good stuff. And this is probably as good a point as any to let you know that I will be at the August 9th and 10th Futurist conference in ETH Toronto at the Rebel Club in Toronto. So if you're going, go and check it out. I will be there. If you want 50% off your ticket, you can use Scott50, all caps, and you get 50% off. That's my promo code. This isn't a paid thing. I'm just kind of throwing this in there because I think it's awesome. Though I obviously did get the promo code for them. That's for something separate, because right now I have a Twitter giveaway that I'm doing for that conference. So you can actually go and check out my Twitter giveaway. Maybe I'll link it in the description, or you can just sift through my Twitter and you'll find it. I'll pin it to make it easy. But I'm giving away 2 general passes, so it's pretty good deal. I haven't worked really with any new sponsors, but this is the same old list, and I always come here and remind people that just because I work with a sponsor doesn't mean I'm necessarily fully endorsing them. I'm not saying like buy this thing. It's more so like selling ad space on my channel with these sponsors. And I'm fully transparent about everything that I work with. The reality is most people are not transparent at all with any of the things they do, and they don't disclaim anything. So, you could be upset that like I'm working with so many and not working with such a small select few, but I'm honest about it. That's the big difference, whereas most people are not. In terms of my actual earnings, let's dive into this. $7 from PublishOX, and you can see the breakdown here on the side for, it's mainly all coming from Hive, realistically, with a little bit from Read.Cash and Noise.Cash, a little bit with DTube and a little bit with YouTube. The rest is all just tiny little bits of fluff that are still worth, mentioning. It's just, if you were only going to focus on a couple platforms based on this, it would be Read.Cash, Hive, YouTube, and DTube. And maybe Noise.Cash is like a status platform on the side as well. But as I said earlier, it is still somewhat important to mention that I would probably be earning less without all those extra side platforms like Torum and Minds and all these platforms that I'm pushing traffic to these platforms, and then earning because of that. So it does need to be said that while you could use just a few, you're obviously going to benefit much more from using as many as you possibly can, clearly from the earnings listed here, and then also from the promotion and the reach that you can actually get from being on more platforms and expanding your audience, so to speak. I only earned a little bit of a tiny amount from Brave, which is fine because you don't really have to do anything to earn your ad rewards from them, so that's always easy. LBRY has been pretty dismal. It's only $6, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. If most of it is just coming from old videos, then that's better than nothing. Hive has been really solid. $392, which is quite a hefty amount. Pretty much more than half of my entire earnings. It was about 66%, so pretty substantial. I know some people have trouble using Hive, and plus the LeoFinance is attached to Hive, so that's an extra $3 there as well. And I know some people have trouble using Hive, but you have to really put in a lot of effort and value and, interact with the right people that you are going to get upvotes and things. And it's not easy, and you do have to post pretty solid value-driven content to actually reach those people. So it's not just, just jump on and just start posting stuff. But people do always ask me, can you post stuff that you've posted elsewhere? Do you have to be exclusive? How are you posting on all these platforms? I'm just posting the same content on every single platform. So you don't really have to be too concerned about getting strikes or violations or, people thinking that you're plagiarizing your own work or whatever it happens to be. That's never really been an issue for me. Occasionally, Read.Cash will have problems thinking that you're reposting an old article. But, for the most part, I've been able to get around that just by editing a few words and stuff. Copy pasting is not really an issue if you're just trying to reach more people. I don't see any issue with that. And then, you can earn some as well for your efforts. Cost.tv has been, it's all right, $7. I'm still always critical of the fact that you have to get approved with your posts, but, it's still worth posting there. Read.Cash and Noise.Cash got me about 0.16 Bitcoin Cash, which is about $55 at the time of writing this. And, that's pretty decent. It's always kind of up there in one of my top earners. And I've always got to mention, though, that Read.Cash could literally end at any day. It was just funded by donations. We have no idea how much is left in the donation pool. It could literally just be done tomorrow. But in terms of engagement, how much you can earn, all that kind of stuff, Read.Cash is just fantastic. I highly recommend it. DTube, Hive, all really solid platforms. But at the end of the day, it's really what are you actually going to put your time into. DTube, I earn almost $40, which is fantastic. DTube, I've been having a little bit more issues lately where it's not properly uploading my stuff to IPFS, but you can always still just import from YouTube anyways. So it's not really an issue. It's just kind of a hassle. And, if my YouTube video went down, then it would probably go down on DTube as well, which is kind of defeating the purpose of using DTube. But at the very least, you can still, import your YouTube video or whatever. And that actually might be preferable for some people just to make their lives easier. And then from DTube, you can auto post to Hive, Steam, and Blurt. I just post to Steam and Blurt, and I do Hive separately through 3Speak. But the beauty of DTube is it's one of the only platforms that makes it so easy to post to everything at once. And you could do that through a YouTube import. So if you were only using YouTube, and then you wanted to post to everything else, it would just take a quick import on DTube, and you could post to every other platform that is kind of like a Steam Hive clone-esque type platform. YouTube, I earn about $50, so fairly substantial, definitely more than the previous month, so that's good to see. Blurt, 403 Blurt was about $16, not bad. Looper was about $8.66, but that was all Terra Luna based, so now it's worth like nothing, and I'm not really gonna waste my time anymore with Looper because it's probably like completely worthless at this point. It was never really that good of a platform. It used to be Tribe on EOS, then they rebranded and moved to Luna, and then that basically tanked, so I'm not sure what their next move is, but they never really improved the platform. It actually kind of got worse to some degree and had worse performance, so I would not be relying on that to any degree. And then the last sort of Hive/Steam clone is Surrey, and I earned almost $7 there, which is great to see. And that brings the total to $628.87 Canadian and or $471.63 US. This is sort of a chart graphing a graph showing you how my earnings have played out over the last 2 years or so. And this shows all of that. We had a 52% increase from the previous month in terms of earnings, so that's really good to see. But because I haven't really posted only 4 times this month, or rather in May, I expect earnings most likely are going to be pretty dismal, unfortunately. So, I don't have really high hopes for the next report, but I do want to get back in and posting more content. Unfortunately, I do have to prioritize my other work, and this sort of comes last, but in the future, I would love to just be mainly focused on producing as much content for you guys as possible. That's pretty much it in terms of metrics and earnings. Now I'll just riff a little bit on all the kind of stuff going on in social. You might notice I'm not wearing my glasses. I'm just waiting on getting my lenses replaced, so that's not, don't worry about that. And you might think I'm a little tired. I have been working a lot more and waking up a lot earlier, so don't mind that. I'm still trying to set aside time to be able to work on this, and I'm really doing my best to try to fit everything in, but it is definitely a challenge, and I appreciate that you guys are still sticking along and watching the content. And I know I haven't been extremely consistent with the posting, but do stay tuned, as I promise that comprehensive social blockchain platform review is right around the corner. There's always just so much changing, and I'm trying to accurately go through and fairly reevaluate everything while also making sure to include any new platforms. And that's always a challenge, because it's like, well, if it's very new, how do I even find it? Scouring through all the DApp related ranking lists and things. And, I do have a gripe with a lot of like ranking lists that they don't properly take in most metrics, or like they misrepresent transactions or whatever based on the way that they do their rankings. Sometimes it's just like user reviews and half of them are bots, or, it's just like, make sure to get our platform on top. They send like 50 people, 100 people to go do reviews, and then their platform is the best platform, even though it's clearly like not the best platform. Like SourceForge has like Steam at the top, and rather Steam It, which isn't really much of a platform as much as it is an interface to Steam. And Steam is also terrible. So I think a lot of the ranking lists that I see are done pretty poorly. But it is what it is. I'm not saying mine is the best. Just, I don't think these lists come from the experience of people actually testing and reviewing. It's just kind of like an index more so than like an actual ranking and recommendation, which is what I aim to provide you guys with all of my testing, reviewing, and auditing of all these different platforms. With that being said, though, I won't take up any more of your time. This is a shorter one today. Only 21 minutes. I mean, not that short, but compared to some of my other videos, it is fairly short. Hopefully my next video that I'll be dropping is my next stablecoin video, which will look at algorithmic stablecoins part 2 in the 5-part series. And we'll be taking a look at the failures of Titan, Iron Finance, DEI, not DAI, and UST, and how they all failed as algorithmic stablecoins. And then we'll take a look at Tron just launched a new stablecoin, so we'll take a look at that, and it's algorithmic, of course. And we'll also take a look at HBD, which is sort of a better stablecoin that I've been involved in for a long time, but it's not perfect, but it is definitely got a lot more features and things in place to prevent a lot of the things that happened to other algorithmic stablecoins. Mind you, it is a much smaller market cap than almost all of them. HBD has been fairly solid. And so we'll take a look at some good stablecoins, algorithmic stablecoins, and we'll quickly dive through a few more as well when we go through that. But after that will be the comprehensive review. So definitely stay tuned for all that. I'm still working on all the other things. A review of all the privacy coins out there, comparing Bitcoin to other legacy energy systems, and just comparing how much is actually energy is Bitcoin using and how much is renewable, all that kind of stuff, because that's been a big debate. Lots of those burning questions that people want to talk about. I'm also going to be working on an ETH killer sort of breakdown, because a lot of people have been like, oh, can you review Tron? Can you review Cardano? Can you review this? I consider all those kind of ETH killers, or like attempting to be ETH killers. And I think it'll be good to sort of do a roundup video of all of that, and why I really don't think any of them are ETH killers, because if there ever really was an ETH killer, it would have been Tron. And it wasn't, and it isn't. So I don't really think any of these other platforms or projects that are coming out really offer that much more that they could actually really achieve that. So I'll be diving into all that in a future episode. But you tell me, what platforms are you using? What cryptocurrencies are you earning on social platforms? Where do you like to spend your time in the crypto sphere? Do you see a future for metaverse, NFTs? Let me know all that good stuff in the comments below, and make sure to also comment #1ham in the comments below. And that way I know you watched the entire video all the way to the end right now. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scott's A Business. Cheers.